us up on the World Wide Web at www.ntnm.org, where at this point 39,000 shows have been watched. It's unbelievable. I mean, we've been have it on the web a little over a year, and the numbers keep going up geometrically each week. It's like, thank you so much, and keep up watching. Community policing we're very big on, caps24.org. Sonny Hirsch, of course, is the District Advisory Committee Chairman of the 24th District, as well as runs the CAPS beat in 2413. I run the one in 2412, and we're always big on community policing. Find the meeting in West Rogers Park or Rogers Park at caps24.org. Citywide, call 311. We also want to congratulate Sonny, who recently finished special training by the FBI and is working very hard on being part of their top 10 list. In any event, this is election time, and basically from here on in, we hope to have nothing but people running for various offices. And as you know, as time has increased, more and more judicial candidates have appeared on the show. And I like doing that because there's very few places where judicial candidates are featured, and I think it gives you an opportunity to see, who these judges are and who you're going to be voting for. And this time around, there's something called the retention ballot for sitting judges, as well as a regular election for circuit court judges or sub-circuit judges, depending on the area. But you be the judge. Well, actually, my two guests today are the judges, so they can be the judge, and they'll tell us what's going on along those lines. And it is a pleasure to have first, sitting next to me, Judge Shelley Sutker Dermer, who is running for the retention ballot, and William Timothy O'Brien, alias Billy, brother of Terry, who you've seen frequently on the show. And he's been a judge for the last 10, 12 years, whatever. And six, sorry about that.
Seems like 10 or 12, it is 6.
And they're basically, so you know what, we'll start with you. Now, you're actually the chairman of the...
I'm co-chair of the retention committee. Okay. My other co-chair is Judge Edmund Ponce de Leon. And we are representing he and I generally represent the 70 candidates that are running, and Bill's one of the 70 candidates that are running for retention.
And explain what the process is.
The process for running for retention is after you have been elected as a full circuit judge and served at least 6 years, every 6 years you run for retention. And to run for retention and be elected, it's at the very end of the ballot. It's been generally the green ballot at the very, very end, and it's voting yes or no for retention. To be elected for retention, you need to receive 60% yes votes.
And this is every 6 years?
Every 6 years. Every judge that's full circuit must run.
Okay. That's interesting, and I've covered this stuff. I always thought it was 10 years for some reason, but 6 years. Okay. I'm sure you guys would prefer it was 10 years.
The Supreme Court might be 10 years.
Yes.
The Supreme Court is 10 years.
The appellate and the Supreme Court are 10.
But the full circuit judges of the circuit court of any circuit court run every 6 years.
And okay. So and this is all so both of you and the other 70 judges, or the approximate number, you're all circuit court judges.
That are on the retention ballot.
Two of them are sitting appellate court judges. The other 68 of them are full circuit judges.
Okay, and what court do you supervise right now? And
I'm the presiding judge of the 2nd Municipal District, which is located at the Skokie Courthouse, and I have been doing that for almost 5 years.
Okay, and what does it mean?
It's an interesting job to describe. It's an administrative position, and what you do is actually run the courthouse in terms of assignments for the judiciary, for the 2nd District judges. There are also 4 Chicago courtrooms in the suburban district, but they hear Chicago felony cases. That's what Judge O'Brien actually hears now. So it's a unique building because it has both felony courtrooms from Chicago and suburban felony rooms. I do assignments. I do all the expungement and sealing calls as my job as presiding judge. I'm a liaison to the community. I speak at high schools, and I go to various events representing the presiding judges and the chief judge. I'm very fortunate. Chief Judge Evans has appointed me to numerous committees, so I also go downtown and represent the judiciary in those committees.
Now, how many judges are there in the Skokie Courthouse?
20.
Okay. Now, I've only been there for traffic court or to occasionally pay some kind of county
whatever
thing.
That's how most people come to court. Their contact is through traffic.
Yeah, no, and it'll be very hard for me. Well, actually, I'm carless these days, so the traffic ticket isn't going to happen. But I lost a lot of weight since I started walking. I like that a lot. I didn't mean not to have a car. It's just a lot healthier. And also I can read the P around the L. It works out. So there's 20 different, what kind, so, okay, traffic court I know about.
There are 16 courtrooms. You asked me how many judges there are. 16 courtrooms in the building, 4 Chicago felony courtrooms, and the others are suburban courtrooms. There's 1 domestic relations, which is divorce and cases, and there's 2 civil rooms. There's 1 misdemeanor jury room, and the rest of the 2 suburban felony rooms, and the rest of the rooms on the main floor are traffic and misdemeanors and bonds. So there's a variety of courtrooms.
And but you actually don't hear cases because you're administrative right now.
I do hear cases.
Okay.
I substitute all the time. When anyone's sick, I fill in. I fill in for generally in the felony rooms because I came from being a Chicago felony judge in the suburban district. That's what I did prior to becoming the presiding judge. I actually worked in the same room that Judge O'Brien is now working in.
So why would you try a Chicago case in the suburbs?
They're just located actually in the Chicago courthouse. 26th Street filled up. We had a brand new courthouse, and they assigned 4 rooms into the suburban courthouse. It's just the way to try to get as many courtrooms as possible.
It's a facilities thing. There's not only the 4 rooms to the north, but there's also 4 Chicago felony rooms in the south suburbs in Bridgeview Courthouse. And so it's just so that to utilize the space efficiently, they've moved those calls to those 2 directions. So they're pretty heavy calls. They average around 400 to 500 cases on a call. So
wow, are you talking about like a call being a single hello, how are you to
that's
court?
Your level. That's the level number of cases that you have. Traditionally, on the average per day, I'll handle anywhere from 45 to 50 cases a day, optimum. And then, some people will plead guilty. Other cases will be disposed. You get new cases coming in every day. You're monitoring people while on their probations. So it's a very hectic pace.
Do you actually get a lot of trials, or you try to? I mean,
last year period, I disposed of somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400 cases.
In trial?
No, those were pleas.
Okay. I
had probably about another 50 bench trials and about 3 or 4 jury trials with. So that was during that year period.
So that's got to be the really intensive
stuff. But
I
have to interject here that doesn't count the hundreds of motions.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Which motion practice sometimes is dispositive. You don't wind up going to trial. It is what you hear, and then there's a plea afterwards, and so there's a lot of work. Since I actually know how much work he does.
And Shelley's being modest in terms of that she has an administrative role. She's very active in helping out those judges that, unexpected illnesses come up, open new calls, help handle cases that may overflow into another room. She's always there to pitch in. So to call her an administrative judge is, that's not all that she does.
Okay, well, she's being modest, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. It's a difficult job to describe, but
we're starting to get a bit of an idea. I mean, you have to be the judge of that.
Thanks.
There's a limit to how many times I can use that line, so watch it. But in terms of, now, are trials something you really try to avoid because that's going to really muck things up, or? I mean, you have to do it when you have to do it if somebody wants a jury trial and all the rest.
No, I leave it up to the attorneys, I mean, and to their clients. I mean, if someone wants a trial, they're entitled to a trial. Mm-hmm. But yeah, many things get disposed of by way of, we call it Supreme Court Rule 402, but most people know it by plea bargaining, in which the parties come together. They may have a resolution that they want to offer, and they want to formalize it with the judge. And so once they agree to have that conference, I'll sit in the conference. I'll listen to the facts of the case, what the person's background is. The intention is that that person's going to plead guilty. And then I'll give them my recommendation of what I would give as a sentence. They can accept or reject that if they want. And if they reject it, then we move to the next stage, which is potentially a trial.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the felonies themselves, because we're saying the words and all that, but sometimes I like to do things on a very basic level. I mean, we're not talking about somebody who violated the terms of their charm school agreement.
Right. You're talking about somebody who has a Class 4 felony or higher, and that means a charge that is anything that has a jail sentence over 364 days. Under that, it would be a misdemeanor.
So right.
And it goes to the penitentiary if they go to jail on a felony.
Okay, and that includes I mean, let's give people...
Possession of a controlled substance, retail theft, some of them are anything over $150 or multiple retail thefts, aggravated driving under the influence of alcohol, armed robbery, murder, rape, criminal sexual assault.
Yeah, it runs the gamut. In our courtrooms, we don't handle murders and we don't handle rape cases.
In his four. In our two, in the suburban side, we do. But we only handle the ones from our area. That's how it's divided up.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the people I hope to have on later, well, he's with the State's Attorney's Office now, Tom Byrne. And he I guess murder trials is what he kind of specializes in these days. So it's a wide gamut. So you basically, I mean, most of this like, liquor stuff? I mean, what's the percentages of, is there a percentage you would give things to, like how many of this and how many of that? Or
a bulk of the cases are going to be narcotic cases. And I think that's generally the case throughout the system.
Actually, I think about that's pretty much the case throughout the nation.
Well, it comprises about 80% of the cases, felony cases in the system. So you become, judges have to become very good in terms of social working issues of who needs treatment, how we can divert some cases out of the system because there's not enough room for everybody. And one way to approach this is to get people some help.
Yeah, we already have the highest jail population of any country in the world, and it's shocking. But it's the way it is. And actually, you can make a case. Being in community policing, we could, not just me, but everybody in community policing right now will tell you there needs to be a lot more people put away sometimes.
Well, unfortunately, and I think as economic times become more severe, we start to see the social problems in the courts first. People become desperate. They have to, some resort to crime. We get to see that. So as budgets get cut for mental health, we start to see increases in terms of people that need mental health services. And so you kind of sit there and you rely upon your experience, you rely upon the training that the chief judge provides to try to fashion some dispositions to not only get the help that's needed, but also to protect the community in the same time. And that's difficult in difficult times.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. In a different lifetime, I actually was an activity worker at a halfway house for a year and a half, and I would see, depending on how the state budget went, the quality of people that came in and out, and it made a big difference.
20%, 17 to 20% of the Cook County Jail are recipients of the Department of Mental Health.
Right.
Wow, we actually have a group home next door over here. So, I mean, there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Avi, I did want to mention one thing that I feel that since you have such an audience who seems to go online and might want to see, we do have a website for the retention.
Oh, sure.
That we've put together, so you can look at every candidate if you want to and see their background and see their resume at www.cookcountyjudges.com.
www.cookcountyjudges.com, and people don't have to put in the WWs anymore, but cookcountyjudges.com.
Right.
Try it. You'll type it into your browser. It'll work.
Okay, I'll try it. So if you want to check, obviously we're representing another group of people, and you may not have an opportunity,
there's 68 people besides for you, although we're going to probably have, probably close to, just today alone, we're going to have 5 different retention judges.
I think that's great. And you'll see the diversity in even our jobs amongst ourselves, amongst the candidates.
Now, do you guys have specific numbers, though, I would imagine, too? I mean, like it's not just, click a button and...
Not until they assign them. They probably won't do that until then.
No numbers yet?
The punch numbers.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't come until later, when closer to the election.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Because early voting, I believe, starts October 13th. The punch numbers will be several weeks before that, but we haven't had that. We didn't get them yet.
Okay. Okay. So what else would you like to let people know?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I said about the website. I will also tell you that we are all going through the bar reviews, and the newspapers will carry the reviews by the bar associations, by the CBA, the Alliance, which is a group of bar associations, the ISBA, and it will say, after we've been interviewed, what they think about the judges.
And there's a million different bar associations. One of the things, because I really read these things, people send me these things, because they know I'm going to write about it, and there's, there might be a more liberal association, a more conservative association, this nationality association, this nationality. It's just like there's a wide range of interests.
Right. But they will print them, and you can use that as a basis for looking at the judge's credentials.
Yeah, and people should also, well, besides for the fact that people should look in Jewish Chicago, which is going to be available free, that's going to have all this stuff, because I don't make the choices myself. I actually do have a panel of judges and lawyers that deal with these people all the time, and they basically do the voting. And you know, they both warned me that they're pretty good. So you'd probably want to vote for them early and often this coming election.
Oh, thank you.
In any event, I say the same thing to Dick Devine, and he prosecutes that stuff. So.
Once, but we'll take the once. Once per voter.
Yeah, I want to thank very much my guests, Judge Shelley Sutker Dermer.
Thank you very much.
Who is the presiding judge in the Skokie Courthouse right now.
Right.
I know that's not exactly right. And William Timothy O'Brien. Hi, Billy. How you doing?
Thanks.
And he's doing the Chicago felony stuff over at Skokie Courthouse. And, you know, I'm going to vote for him for retention, that's for sure. Sounds almost gastrointestinal, but I'm going to do it anyway. Always interesting stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
okay.
much.
Thanks.